If I'm talking about a woman's body, I'm realistic and holistic about my approach. I'm not there trying to tell you, if I say it on the track, I probably will do it in real life.
Facts.
Yeah, so and if I'm there talking about money, I'll tell you exactly how I feel. But then I will not say because I'm trying to be humble, I'll not deny if I'm making 40 mil a contract. I won't be that. But then again, I'll be honest with the fact that doesn't mean shit to me.
Off the record, more of celebrities. In depth with your favorite.
Whether it's chilling by the pool or working in the stew. Here on Off the Record, everything is on the record. My next guest needs no introduction whatsoever. Self-proclaimed best rapper in Africa.
He's not self-proclaimed.
Okay. Critically acclaimed. Is that better? Number one rapper in Nigeria and of course Africa. It's none other than Vector the Viper, aka, is it just Vector now?
I mean, at the point, some people call me V, so I hope it doesn't become a V. Yes, now V.
All right, welcome
Thanks
to
for
Off
having
the
me.
Record. So I know that currently you are basking in the glory of your newly released hit single, Early Mama, featuring Good Girl,
LA.
Yeah. It's an amazing single, I have to say. I have
Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. I have it on all the time. And word on the street is that it is off your upcoming album.
TESLIM.
Yes.
Yes.
The energy that lives within, right?
The energy still lives in me.
Right.
Yes.
So walk me through TESLIM, because I do know that a lot of it was inspired by your late father, actually. And there was actually an EP that preceded it, and that was
Vibes Before TESLIM, that's the journey to self-discovery.
Exactly.
Then there's the crossroads that you reach on that journey to self-discovery. Then you now discover the self and the acceptance of the discovered self.
Okay. So that's what the album means to you, discovery, you found out yourself.
It's a story I'm telling of something that I think has happened already. So I'm like, okay, so there's this, I've always been this person. I've always been, I mean, if TESLIM if it's about me, then I must have been, right? It must have been. So I'm trying to carry the fan base along and whoever deems it necessary to follow through with. So yeah, we had this journey because I went through that myself. And I dare not sound like I've totally discovered. But I went through that process, and I think there's a high percentage of the discovered self present now.
Okay, and what do you think is different about this particular album in comparison to Crossroads or the journey to TESLIM?
Alright, so usually most folks would never really, for example, see me making the music like the new single. But then if you travel back to Follow Me to Go, that's pretty much me. Right? So maybe it's a bit more intentional now. It was intentional, but I really don't like being boxed. I don't like being defined. It doesn't make sense, people trying to define people. So all my life I've always been, the rapper, this is this, but I'm just a gifted person.
You sing better than some singers also.
I dare say than a lot of singers. Because I was the lead tenorist in my mass choir as a kid. And it's been that. And you then become critically acclaimed as a rapper, then you want to be yourself, then you start to hear stuff like, don't be a sellout. I mean, what the hell do you mean by sellout? I'd rather sell out concert tickets. Hey, but what do you mean by being a sellout? And that irritates me because it limits the talent of, say, the average African person who can make music, but then maybe he starts making rap music first. So yeah, it has to be at this time. Forget what you think, just experience something. Everybody seems to know who you should feature, how you should push the music, what you should do, where you should go. Like, it's not about that. It's not about what you feel. Not to say that you're irrelevant in the conversation. It's basically, simply put, you met somebody gifted and talented. You did not advise them into the gift. You didn't advise them into the talent. Why must your opinion matter in them furthering? Like, yes, we appreciate the fact that you want there to be progress, but don't you think it should happen at the pace of the person who is the active one in the situation?
As opposed to when you say so.
Yeah, or you start to judge. It's not just when you say so. You now start to judge the person by parameters that you've set up in your head, forgetting that my inspiration is in my head, not in your voice. Right? Boom.
You seem to have talking to you now, you seem to have ascended to this level of consciousness that I feel like most artists and musicians simply don't get to in regards to blocking out the noise.
Yes.
From what it sounds like you've been able to just listen to literally the inner you, as opposed to spectators, fans, even I'm guessing family, friends, whatever it may be.
Oh, yeah.
So you're trying to influence what direction you take your sound in. And have you always been that way, or is it something that grew with you with the confidence as you evolved within your music?
I just knew that I was uncomfortable with the plenty ideas and advice that I would like. And I dare say this so it doesn't feel like I'm being rude to people. Like my mom, for example, at a point wanted me to make party music as well. And here's your mother, right? Like, I know I made Shiga put my hair. Yeah, that's cool, but the same me that growing up listening to, say, for example, Ayinde Barrister, Queen Salawa Beni, Kollington Ayinla, Dayo Kujore, and I was a kid. You were playing all those music, right? You were playing all those type of music. I also came across Enya. At a point, Celine Dion's One Heart album was perfect for me. And I'm also a lead tenorist in a mass choir. I'm a chorister. You can't, again, restrict me to your mentality of what is obtainable. It's not by that. I have a calling. I have a destiny to fulfill. And only I can hear God's voice in my head. So it's not about anything. It's more like I've been getting those advice. And my brother is a DJ. Dynamics matters worse because, yes, in the club, people just really want to, And what if I'm not that person? What if I'm part of that process, but what if that's not entirely who I am? What if my goal is to reach people's souls over reaching their bodies? And at a point, I just noticed that I wasn't being a rebel. I just wasn't comfortable with, I should be making party music now. Like, you should be making dance music. Everybody's making dance music. And I'm like, I'm not here to blow. I'm actually just here to show. Like, I'm just here to show what it is that I'm about. Yes, dancing is part of it. Don't get it twisted. At least all of us said, I told you, yeah, I did a record with the legendary Dr. Adewale Ayuba. I'm not stupid, but I am aware that there are facets of me activating, but then there's the core me, and I have to listen to that. And I took it upon myself to make that happen so that, first of all, I'm fulfilled, and second of all, maybe anybody else who's struggling, it's pretty much how women feel marginalized as well. And in their heads, they feel like, why can't I work, for example? Why can't I earn the same as? Like, it should be. Why can't you? So why can't I listen to the voice in my head as well and just be myself?
Interesting. But with that being said, is there ever, or has there ever been a moment where you feel like you have been inauthentic to that voice in your head?
To be honest with you,
have you ever kind of just given in and be like, okay, you know what, mom? Okay, bro, since you're a DJ, you know what's popping right now, you know?
Not really, because I'm also aware that if it's the dance music, me too, I listen to Arudo now. All of us heard it. Like, I know Makosa music. I know what the groove is. I learned music in church. I know what those drum patterns are. I know how it moves. Yes. However, I know what I'm thinking. I know when we're all watching TV, I know the information I'm getting as opposed to the information you're getting. I don't know what you're getting, but I know what I'm saying. Like, when we watch stories of terror in the world, I don't know what they see, but I know what I see, and I know what I feel, and I know the voice in my head. It only makes sense to listen to that. At least I'm not committing murder listening to it. Like, I'm not raping anybody, I'm not a pedophile about it, I'm not stealing money. Like, I'm just listening to myself. It should be okay to listen to myself. But I don't feel like doing dance music now is like, oh, abomination. No, I know the value of that. It's okay to dance. As a matter of fact,
it's a side of you also. It's something that you appreciate and you genuinely
but then don't define me by that one speck of myself. Like, there's more to that.
Before you came and before we had this conversation, I was going to ask you how you would describe yourself and your sound. If you absolutely had to, in 3 words.
1 word is fine.
1 word?
Dynamic.
Okay, so that's 1 word that covers a whole bunch of other words.
Every human is dynamic.
Right.
Like, we're all living different, right? Dynamism is the spice of life, right? I'm a dynamic person. I went farther with this in understanding, say, the average Nigerian is dynamically gifted, right? So why are we always trying to narrow stuff down?
But you have to acknowledge the shackles that society puts on the everyday man.
Acknowledge in what sense?
In the sense of understanding where it comes from. I'm not saying that it's right, and I'm not saying that maybe that's how everybody should be.
Yeah.
But I'm saying through the institutes of education, for instance, religion, all these different things, the average African man, the average Nigerian man or woman is conditioned from childhood to think a certain way, to see life a certain way, and to treat their neighbors and themselves a certain way.
Isn't that why Jesus stood out? Isn't that why Malcolm X stood out? Isn't that why Martin Luther King stood out? Isn't that why Fela stands out? Like, but we see it, we want to praise and admire and worship it, but we don't want to be, not that we cannot, we actually can. Like, we can be the difference. Like, I'm sure, well, I'm not sure, but it feels like you wouldn't be paid to play rubbish music.
Right.
It feels like you couldn't be paid to play rubbish music. Some people don't think that way, but should we now acknowledge them? It's not the way forward. So this is not even me trying to attack or criticize anyone. If it's okay for you to be you, it must be okay for me to be me, period. That's it. It's just rules of equality, and we must start to live life by that. Like, I do this with my daughter. Like, you are a human being that I must respect. But they're not born here to do it now because I'm your father. Right? Yeah, that's rule. But if my daughter doesn't want to go to select church, who am I to say you must? Right? Or if we go to select church and she's asking me, oh, Daddy, what is this? I don't think I understand it. I'm like, no, sure, come on, keep quiet. Now now God give you the brain, where they give you the inspiration, make you to ask those questions now. It's not like my brain is the only one that God is blessing. If so, I would have done way better than now. Because everybody wants to do way better than now, right? So nobody is truly 100% with anything. So why am I forcing myself on anyone? And if it's true for me, why shouldn't it be true for you as well? Why must your opinion matter over my life? Even though I can consider what you're saying, but why must it be rule? So if they say, okay, you know what it ought to be, that's cool. When do we start to think what it should be and start to act in those like in that light? Now.
This album has been a really long time in making.
Yes.
Was it all recorded here in Nigeria, or a little bit of here and a little bit there?
Yeah.
Everywhere.
I recorded records in New York.
Okay. And I'm sure being there would have put you in a different mindset as well. Energy in New York is different. Very, very similar to Lagos.
Yeah.
Actually, concrete jungles, both of them, but different.
Yeah, but what made it funny was I was in a studio session with King Sonny and his son and his daughter. Kole, he lives in New York, and Temi Doyin, she lives in New York as well. Then we're in the studio with Alpha from Senegal, Plu from New York, Plu is Nigerian rather, Iceberg Slim, and I think Zachary James. Zachary, I know his first name is Zachary, right? And we're in the studio with, what's his name? S.L. McKay. S.L. McKay is pretty much a rapper in New York. And when we started to make our music, he was like, yo, you guys are coming. I can feel it. Right? So the energy was, if anything, assuring the purpose. Like, yeah, you're on the right track. Ironically, we are making one, right? So, yes, recording there, but it was an experience for me. being able to sit down with, I was in the studio with the engineers that work with Imagine Dragons.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was interesting. It was an interesting experience. Yes, but he too was learning a different experience working with us as well. So it was, it's just like a different experience that you're gathering, but not because you're juxtaposing. You're just experiencing. Yeah, so made music there. But Abuja gives me a vibe.
Really?
Yeah, I'll go to Abuja and make music. When I'm closer to the release of the album, I'll then go to Ibadan and just get a clear head and make things happen as well. You must be stupid if you don't think it's right for you right now to experience the energy of your land. Yes, in its entirety. Like, I'm not as interested in going to Miami and sitting down and chill and everything as I am right now about doing places in Nigeria. Ibadan has a vibe. And I'll say that on the record, and it's funny how Nigerians will laugh and be like, oh, there's some people have funny remarks like, oh, you're not big outside of the country. I don't care. Like, if Bob Marley cared, he wouldn't speak patois. If Ella cared, he wouldn't make Afrobeats.
So I want to ask you what happened more recently, which was the defense minister. I want to just get your take on this real quick. The defense minister coming out to say that in a statement that he feels like civilians should defend themselves. How does that make you feel? What comes to your mind with him making such a statement like that?
I don't think in the proper situation he'd be able to defend that. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, it doesn't. What else do I have to say? It doesn't make sense to me. It's like me. I can't even put myself in a scenario that's similar. It doesn't make sense. Like, you're the defense minister.
And you're telling civilians to defend themselves.
Well, so what if the way we can defend ourselves is to protest and make sure you do your job, but then you come at us? Yeah, so really, so where can we defend? How can we defend? You don't want us like picking up weapons. You don't want that.
You want us to bring fists, stones, and sticks.
You don't even want that too, right? Because it's still a crime. So what then are the options of defense? Because guess what? We did it when 1 Million Boys was attacking Lagos now. We came together and defended ourselves. Is it okay to be that? So are we allowed to police and be our police and our military? Yeah, if that's the case, then do you really want to move the funds that you're moving into police and military into our hands as well? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make any logical sense.
Wrapping up really quickly, TESLIM.
Yeah.
Who else, apart from Good Girl LA, on Early Momo, what other features can we expect? Can you tell us anything? Okay. What if we did just a little drop an acronym? The way you did my father's name. Let me see if I can put it together.
Eternally, no option. No, I just said rubbish just
You tried.
But if there's anything, in Lafayette, so for example, there are these kids that always come to hang out every time I'm there, and they ask me to buy a bicycle, just buy snacks or fruits or sweets, and I was making a record with an international collaboration, and I thought, you little rascals, I'm gonna put you on a record and get you royalties for life, so you can get the hell off my back.
All right, so in closing, is there anything in particular that you would like to let your fans know?
I appreciate and love you guys. I'm not unaware of the difficulty in life, or the difficulties in life, especially those who are Nigerian or African in general. I'll just do my best to make sure I help you make life easier with the music, and God bless you guys.
Alright, there you have it. Signing out is Vector the Viper, aka Vector, aka and
aka Avenue, huh? Okay.
Anyway, that is it from me right here at Hot Fans Off the Record. Join me next time where we keep everything on the record. It's your girl BB Ray signing out.
Off the records.